It would have been better if we'd never met. None of this would have happened.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're exploring how differently some princesses' lives could have turned out if they hadn't simply waited for the someday their prince would come. What if true love's kiss never came? No prince came soaring in on a magic carpet, or no rapscallion sought refuge in a secluded tower. Would these fairy tales end before they even started? Or would these princesses have taken life into their own hands and created their own destinies? So let's set off on a magical adventure to see how 5 classic Disney tales might have unfolded if we cut the princes out of the story.
I want so much more than they've got planned.
Flynn Rider, Tangled. Rapunzel has waited practically forever for her life to begin, and conveniently, just as she has a greater motive than ever to leave her tower, opportunity knocks. Or rather, she knocks it out with a frying pan.
Alone at last.
She strikes a deal with Flynn to take her to see the floating lanterns, and off they go. But hang on, so you're telling us that even without Flynn, she could have left the tower at any time?
Look at me, there at last. I just have to do it. Should I? No. Here I go.
She'd already concocted this tale about needing more paint to get Mother Gothel out of the way, which works, leaving the window figuratively and literally open. Sure, Rapunzel didn't know a world beyond her tower, so Flynn was a handy tour guide, even though his motives weren't initially so altruistic.
Let's just turn around and get you home. Here's your pan, here's your frog. I get back my satchel, you get back a mother-daughter relationship based on mutual trust, and voila! We part ways as unlikely friends.
No! I am seeing those lanterns.
Oh, come on! What is it gonna take for me to get my satchel back?
However, while he certainly has his uses, and perhaps she might have gotten a bit lost without him, we think Rapunzel could have probably managed just fine alone. We saw how effortlessly she won over the patrons at the Snuggly Duckling. We're sure any one of them would have been happy to help her.
Like all you lovely folks, I've got a dream.
She's got a dream. He's got a dream. He's got a dream. So our dear princess and greatly that is dream.
Rapunzel also learns that trusting an outlaw comes with some risks, which in this case leads her straight back into the hands of the cruel Mother Gothel. So let's rewind. Say Rapunzel and Mother Gothel still had that argument about seeing the floating lanterns, and Gothel still insisted that Mother knows best before leaving Rapunzel alone. Only this time, without the distraction of an intruder, Rapunzel is still crafty enough to get Gothel out of the way.
New paint? The paint made from the white shells you once brought me?
Well, that is a very long trip, Rapunzel. Almost 3 days' time.
She also could have skipped the added drama of a fugitive on the run, and perhaps had a smoother trip to Corona. She'd sneak out, charm her way into friendships, and get everyone just as invested in her dream. And of course, she absolutely still has a blast at the festival. Meanwhile, Gothel returns to an empty tower with no clues about where Rapunzel went or who helped her. She could probably guess, but without Flynn's involvement, there's no deal with the Stabbington brothers.
Oh, well, c'est la vie. Enjoy your crown.
What's the best part?
It comes with revenge on Flynn Rider.
Also, let's not forget that Rapunzel had an epiphany about her true identity on her own. She'd been planting clues for herself all along. Flynn or no Flynn, she'd realize her hair is her superpower and the key to her freedom.
You were wrong about the world. And you were wrong about me. And I will never let you use my hair again!
He wouldn't have gotten hurt, and she probably still would have reunited with her real parents. Aladdin. Before Aladdin, Jasmine was stuck in the same cycle. Trapped in the palace, rejecting suitors, and clashing with her father over marriage.
You've got to stop rejecting every suitor who comes to call. The law says you must be married to a prince by your next birthday.
The law is wrong.
Meanwhile, Jafar was already manipulating the Sultan, and without interference, he likely would have used his mind control to force a marriage, securing his rule. When Jasmine first meets Aladdin, she's incognito and accidentally shoplifts, leading to a rescue that wouldn't have been necessary if she just revealed she was the princess as she does later on.
She thinks the monkey is the Sultan. Oh, wise Sultan, how may I serve you?
From there, their relationship is built on lies, disguises, and an unhealthy amount of deception. Plus, 75 golden camels, llamas galore, and whatever else Genie throws in. Not to mention, Aladdin's snowballing lies practically hand Genie's lamp to Jafar.
You've lied to everyone else. Hey, I was beginning to feel left out. Now, if you'll excuse me, Master.
Genie, I'm really sorry. Well, fine. Then just stay in there.
But back to Jasmine. She's one of Disney's most headstrong princesses. Without Aladdin, she was still bound to take control of her own fate, on her terms.
How dare you? All of you, standing around deciding my future? I am not a prize to be won.
She's no prize to be won, and she certainly wasn't about to let Jafar slither his way into power. The 2019 remake makes her a more active participant in her own fate, showing that she's more than capable of ruling as Sultan.
You remember my mother used to say, we would only ever be as happy as our least happy subject? If she saw what I saw today, she would be heartbroken.
In the 1992 version, without Aladdin swooping in, she could have come to that realization on her own, too. She was never going to settle for marriage, so why not fight to change that law herself?
You've certainly proven your worth as far as I'm concerned. It's that law that's the problem.
Father?
Well, am I Sultan or am I Sultan? From this day forth, the princess shall marry whoever she deems worthy.
Jafar's mind control wouldn't have worked forever. Jasmine's sharp. She would have noticed his influence over her father, especially as his grip on power grew bolder. Even if she didn't catch on immediately, she knew she didn't want to marry him, and she would have done whatever it took to stop that from happening.
A beautiful desert bloom such as yourself should be on the arm of the most powerful man in the world.
What you say, my dear?
Why, with you is my queen.
Never.
We already saw how far she was willing to go just to buy Aladdin time during his rescue. Still, without him distracting her with his lies, Jasmine could have focused on something far bigger than romance. She was the only one in the palace who truly seemed to want to understand Agrabah's struggles. She wanted to be among her people and to connect with them. Given the chance, she could have built a city that thrived under a leader who actually cared about its future. She had the intelligence, determination, and heart to create lasting change.
What are you doing outside the palace? And with this street rat?
That's not your concern. Do as I command.
The Beast, aka Prince Adam, Beauty and the Beast. In the reprise to the opening song, Belle tells us how she wants to explore a world beyond her provincial village.
I want much more than this provincial life.
While the other townsfolk scoff at her for being different, her father encourages her to dream big and block out the haters. The truth is, Belle already knows exactly who she is. She's smart, kind, and sees beyond appearances from the start. Gaston.
The whole town's talking about it. It's not right for a woman to read. Soon she starts getting ideas and thinking.
Gaston, you are positively primeval.
While the Beast goes through major growth, Belle pretty much stays the same. She doesn't learn to be brave or curious. She's been that way the whole time.
I wonder why I didn't see it there before.
Now, would she have been better off choosing adventure instead? Absolutely.
I want adventure in the great white somewhere. I want it more than I can tell.
She longs for the great wide somewhere, yet she ends up locked in a castle, babysitting a beast with anger issues, who, let's be honest, brought this fate on himself. Sure, she gets a beautiful library, but wouldn't she rather live her own story instead of reading someone else's? And yes, we remember, she chose to stay to save her father.
No, Belle! I won't let you do this!
You have my word.
Done!
But even when she almost escapes, she goes back to tend to her captor's wounds. What if she had helped him recover and then negotiated her freedom?
You must go to him.
What did you say?
I release you. You're no longer my prisoner.
You mean I'm free?
Yes.
Or, and not to bring the tone down too much, but what if she'd headed out on her adventure without ever knowing her father was in danger? Perhaps Maurice and the Beast would have become unlikely friends instead.
Hello there, boy.
What service?
Maybe he would have even become a father figure to his captor. And parental love can be strong too. Strong enough to break a curse, even? But back to Belle. We can imagine her as a true adventurer, charting unknown lands, seeking hidden wonders, or even helping her father showcase his inventions around the world.
You'll win first prize at the fair tomorrow. And become a world-famous inventor.
You really believe that?
I always have.
Maybe she'd even become a world-renowned inventor herself. Real adventure means applying what she's learned from her beloved books. And instead of just reading about people who achieve incredible feats, she'd become one.
I'll borrow this one.
That one? But you've read it twice!
Well, it's my favorite. Borrowed places, daring sword fights, magic spells, a prince in disguise.
If she'd left, she could have found places where intelligence and curiosity were celebrated. And no one cared if you fit in as long as you had a good heart. This version is where Belle gets a chance to truly grow, not as someone's caretaker or as a prize in a redemption arc, but as a hero forging her own path.
Well, don't you worry, because this invention's gonna be the start of a new life for us.
Prince Naveen, the Princess and the Frog. Let's just start by getting the obvious out of the way. If Prince Naveen hadn't shown up, Tiana wouldn't have spent the majority of the movie as a frog.
What did you do to me? I'm green and I'm slimy.
No. That is not slime.
What?
You are secreting mucus.
Tiana's story teaches that success doesn't come from magic or shortcuts. It's the result of dedication, effort, and sacrifice. So yes, that would be much easier if she hadn't wasted so much time as a roughly 3-inch slimy amphibian.
It serves me right for wishing on stars. The only way to get what you want in this world is through hard work.
Along the way, though, Tiana discovers that it's as much about the journey as it is the destination, as well as the people who help you through it. When you think about it, how much did Naveen really help? He starts out spoiled and shallow, accustomed to a life of luxury without much responsibility, and ends up cut off by his parents.
Sad but true.
Now y'all gotta get hitched, but hitching ties you down. You just want to be free, hop from place to place. But freedom takes green.
He derails Tiana's plans and doesn't have the money to help her build her restaurant either. In fact, Louis does more to help than Naveen ever could. Naveen is purely there for his own growth and as a love interest. Well, before he came along, Tiana was one of the most relatable characters working the grind, dreaming of a better future and facing setbacks.
So I work real hard each and every day. Now things for sure are going my way. Just doing what I do.
Being black in 20th century New Orleans adds extra obstacles. And while Disney does acknowledge that narrative gets sidelined for the whole frog thing. It would have been more powerful for Disney to give this issue the focus it deserves, rather than simply checking a box.
You know how long it took me to save that money?
Exactly. Which is why a little woman of your background would have had her hands full trying to run a big business like that.
In a version without Naveen, Tiana's story is all about her grit, hustle, and determination. She's still juggling multiple jobs, saving every penny, and pushing through every setback with one goal in mind, her restaurant.
Trials and tribulations, I've had my share. There ain't nothing gonna stop me now, 'cause I'm almost there.
The magic comes from the people who surround her, her best friend Charlotte, her dad's memory, and that fire within her. Without Naveen, Tiana doesn't need a prince to show her what she's capable of.
The way you light up when you talk about your dream. A dream that it is so beautiful. I promise I will do whatever it takes to make it come true.
She realizes that true happiness comes from self-love and the pride she takes in her work. She learns that the most important thing isn't finding someone to share her dreams with, but building those dreams herself.
Dreams do come true when you
As for the frog in the title, there are always some slimy individuals who try to stand in the way of our growth and success.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Li Shang, Mulan. In the movie, our protagonist and her general definitely get off on the wrong foot. Sure, there's a war to win, and he's trying to motivate his troops, but emasculation probably isn't the best strategy to raise morale.
Did they send me daughters? And I asked
Mulan proves she can be swift as the coursing river and have all the force of a great typhoon, without meeting the typical masculine ideals. In fact, it's Mulan, Ping, who ends up motivating the others.
We must be swift as the coursing river, with all the force of a great typhoon.
She even saves her comrades, but when she gets wounded and the truth comes out, does she get any gratitude? Spoiler, no. Sparing her life doesn't count.
A life for a life. My debt is repaid.
Move out!
In the end, Mulan is the one to save China, and with a fan, mind you. The same fan that earlier in the story symbolizes femininity and the traditional role of the perfect subservient bride.
Fulfill your duties calmly and respectfully. Reflect before you snack. Act. This shall bring you honor and glory.
Mulan essentially says it herself. This is a story of finding herself. She doesn't feel she fits the cultural expectations laid out for her, but she's trapped by the lack of options.
When will my reflection show who I am inside?
It's when she joins the army and pretends to be a man that everything starts to fall into place. In her heroic rescue, she proves there's no one way to be a woman, and that femininity has power and strength too. The moment Mulan stops trying to be what others expect of her, whether it's the archetypal wife or the macho soldier Ping, she finally sees herself for who she truly is. So where does Li Shang fit in? Honestly, whether he's there or not, Mulan's story doesn't change.
The greatest gift and honor is having you for a daughter.
She shows loyalty and bravery from the moment she takes her father's place to fight for her country. At first, maybe she's trying to prove herself to others, but deep down, she's driven by a fire that was just waiting to be unleashed.
So what's the plan? You don't have a plan?
Hey, I'm making this up as I go. Mushu!
Way ahead of you, sister. Come on, Cookie.
Even on a basic level, Mulan is the most heroic character in this film, without needing a man to help her, although who couldn't use the assistance of a travel-sized dragon? The only savior Mulan needed was herself, and she more than delivered.
Take this, so your family will know what you have done for me. And this, so the world will know what you have done for China.
Which Disney story do you think could have been improved if the prince never turned up? Let us know in the comments.
Looks like you're out of ideas.
Not quite.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.